Snoop Dogg. In 2002, NBC had planned for Snoop to have a cameo in their holiday special, A Very Muppet Christmas. It was supposed to be a lighthearted, family-friendly TV moment, but O'Reilly stepped in and stirred up a storm. On the O'Reilly Factor, he launched a campaign to get Snoop removed, claiming that someone with Snoop's thug image and criminal history had no business being on a family program. According to O'Reilly, Snoop was a menace who, in his words, belonged in prison. Snoop for a while brushed off the attacks, but by March 2007, he'd had enough. While doing a Dutch interview, a host brought up O'Reilly's nonstop criticism, and Snoop didn't hold back. With no hesitation, he fired off, "F Bill O'Reilly." That was just the start. He went further, saying if O'Reilly really wanted to see him, then it should be on his turf, his neighborhood, where he'd be more than happy to, as Snoop put it, kick his ass.
And you have guys like Bill O'Reilly who are sort of anti.
Bill O'Reilly.
Would you go on his show?
I'd love to go on his show.
Yeah?
Yeah, but we'd have to do it in my neighborhood, though.
so it has to be in the ghetto.
Yeah, so I can kick his mother.
Now, O'Reilly being O'Reilly, he never accepted that invitation. Instead, he kept his distance, mocking Snoop's street credibility from the comfort of his TV studio.
Yeah, like Calvin lives in the ghetto. Oh, is a pool boy going to beat me up there, Snoopy? And of course, he's welcome to come in here to the no spin zone, but we do have drug testing.
But the damage was done. Snoop's rant was one of the most direct clapbacks anyone had ever thrown O'Reilly's way. And in a weird way, O'Reilly's refusal to engage face-to-face showed that even he knew there were limits to how far he could push his tough guy act. Years later, when the clip resurfaced online, people on Reddit had a field day. One user called O'Reilly's response piss weak, while another said his old tough guy image was nothing but a blowhard act. Someone else summed it up best. It's hard to tell with that guy when he's being funny and when he's just plain stupid, and that pretty much nailed the essence of the O'Reilly-Snoop feud. Ludacris. In 2002, Luda was skyrocketing. He was selling records, about to star in Too Fast, Too Furious, and his name was everywhere. Pepsi, recognizing his mainstream appeal, signed him to a major endorsement deal, but O'Reilly couldn't stand it. On his show, he blasted Pepsi for partnering with a rapper he claimed degraded women, glorified drugs, and hurt the poor with his music. He urged his viewers, who he framed as all responsible Americans, to boycott Pepsi until they dropped Ludacris. It worked. By August, Pepsi had caved, citing consumer complaints about his profane and violent lyrics, and they cut ties with him. O'Reilly bragged about the victory, calling Ludacris a negative influence and taking full credit for his downfall.
Pepsi Cola late today capitulated. Ludacris has been fired. It was irresponsible of Pepsi Cola, a company that's made trillions of dollars in the United States, to hire a man to pitch their product who is, in my opinion, subverting the values of the United States.
But Luda wasn't about to stay quiet. He clapped back the way he knew best, through music. In 2004, on his hit single #1 spot, he slid in a sharp jab at O'Reilly, referencing the sexual harassment scandal that was already circling the TV host. Respected highly, hi Mr. O'Reilly. Hope all is well, kissed the plaintiff and the wifey. He doubled down with the track Blow It Out, which was basically one long diss aimed directly at O'Reilly. The attack clearly got O'Reilly's skin. He went so far as to demand that Def Jam, Ludacris's label, drop him completely. Def Jam didn't budge, and instead of sinking his career, the beef actually boosted Ludacris's profile. Billboard even pointed out the irony. And the irony didn't stop there. Years later, both O'Reilly and Pepsi would face their own share of scandals and public backlash. When Ludacris looked back on it in an interview with The Breakfast Club, he pointed out the twist of fate. He said it wasn't his place to judge O'Reilly, the same man who once judged him so harshly. Luda was thriving, winning Grammys, starring in blockbuster movies, and running his charity foundation.
It's not my place to judge Bill O'Reilly the same way that he judged me. That's how I feel about it. Like, it's a lot of maturity and a lot of growth. I've moved on past it. I'm thriving in life right now. Bill O'Reilly, settles these issues and learns from whatever mistakes he may have made and also thrives. But it is definitely ironic that both Pepsi and Bill O'Reilly are under fire right now.
And in a surprising twist, Pepsi tried to make amends by donating $3 million to his foundation. Even O'Reilly, after bumping into Luda at a White House event, reportedly made a donation himself. In the end, the feud was a prime example of O'Reilly's moral grandstanding coming back to bite him. Cameron and Damon Dash. Back in 2013, rapper Cameron and Rockefeller co-founder Damon Dash showed up on the O'Reilly Factor with Bill O'Reilly. The topic on paper was supposed to be about rap music's influence on the younger generation, but right from the jump, you can tell it wasn't going to be a smooth conversation. O'Reilly wasted no time setting the tone. He introduced Cameron by calling him Grammy nominee Cameron who raps about pimping and the B word among other things, even pointing out his Purple Haze album. Then, without missing a beat, he went straight for the throat, challenging Cameron on whether his music influenced kids to make bad choices.
So we decided to get Grammy nominee Cameron, who raps about pimping and among other things. What if he uses four-letter words and he develops a lifestyle based upon the street? He gets tattooed, he gets all this.
Okay,
Yeah, well, let me just say, and then you can jump in.
But before Cam could even answer, Damon Dash jumped in. Dash flipped it, saying if an 11-year-old wanted to imitate Cameron, what they'd actually be imitating was a CEO, somebody taking control of their own destiny, turning negative circumstances into something positive.
If a 11-year-old were to imitate Cameron, what they would be doing is becoming a CEO of their own company, controlling their own destiny, taking a bad situation and making it good.
The problem was O'Reilly didn't care about balance. Even though he was supposed to be the moderator, he kept talking over Dash, cutting him off mid-sentence. Dash eventually called him out on it, which only made things tenser. From there, the debate just snowballed. Dash compared rap to movies like The Terminator, pointing out how nobody blames Arnold Schwarzenegger for the violence in those films. O'Reilly shot that down, saying Terminator was a cartoon while rap was real life.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger was the Terminator, he was shooting up half of everyone in sight.
It's a cartoon, though. This is more real.
Oh, the Terminator is not a cartoon.
This is real, though, isn't it?
Well, no.
In my life, everybody's rap is
This is real. It's not a Terminator cartoon.
If there's an unsupervised child, how is he to know whether it's real or not? How is he to determine what's real and what's not real? Who's to supervise him?
All right.
Then he went even harder, saying rap videos were especially damaging because of all the gun violence with no explanations or consequences attached. Meanwhile, Cam and Dash started noticing how frustrated O'Reilly was getting. Instead of being rattled, they thought it was hilarious. They began clowning him on air, with Cameron even saying, "I got dirt on you, doggy."
It's not about business for you because you feel like it might give you better ratings to portray something negative within the image of hip-hop.
Negative.
Yeah,
Negative to make
you.
money, Mr. Dash, if you hurt children.
How do you hurt children by promoting to be an entrepreneur and a CEO?
Hold it.
Why
You're looking at a principle.
Why you don't want to let him talk? You mad. Where'd you start? Current affair, right?
No, wrong.
Well,
you're looking
I got dirt on you, doggy.
At the time, it seemed like just trash talk, but years later, when O'Reilly's career took a nosedive after multiple sensual harassment scandals came to light, Cam revealed that was exactly the dirt he had been hinting at. Jadakiss. By 2004, Jadakiss was already respected in hip-hop circles as one of the sharpest lyricists from New York. That summer, he dropped what would become his biggest single ever, Why? The track was simple in concept, but powerful in delivery, a series of rhetorical questions aimed at society, politics, and the world at large. But there was one line that set everything on fire. Midway through the song, Jadakiss asked, "Why did Bush knock down the towers?" It was one bar, one provocative question, but in post-9/11 America, it was like dropping gasoline on a flame. Conservative outlets went wild, and Bill O'Reilly was at the front of the mob. On the O'Reilly Factor, he zeroed in on Jadakiss, calling him a smear merchant and accusing him of spreading unpatriotic lies about the President of the United States. To O'Reilly, it was dangerous propaganda. He demanded radio stations censor the song, and many did, playing edited versions without the Bush reference. But Jadakiss wasn't shaken. If anything, O'Reilly's outrage was validation. To Kiss, the fact that he had Bill O'Reilly fuming on national TV only proved that his words carried weight. He later joked that ringing O'Reilly's bell felt like a celebration, even like a career milestone. Where other rappers might have apologized or backpedaled, Kiss leaned in. That didn't mean the situation was without consequences. In interviews, Jadakiss clarified that he wasn't literally accusing George W. Bush of plotting 9/11. He was making a metaphor about government negligence and failure to prevent the tragedy. But the media spun it another way. Headlines branded him with the nickname Al-Qaeda Jada, and behind the scenes, there were even rumors that Homeland Security had eyes on him. That's how far O'Reilly's amplification could push things. A lyric in a song suddenly made federal scrutiny seem real. Still, Kiss refused to fold. He even said he'd be willing to appear on O'Reilly's show to debate the issue head-on. That never happened, but Jadakiss doubled down musically, releasing a star-studded remix of Why, featuring Nas and Common. turning the record into an even louder statement about social consciousness, and despite the censorship and the controversy, the song soared. Why reached 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, the biggest hit of Jadakiss's career. Ironically, O'Reilly's outrage only helped push it higher, giving the Yonkers rapper one of his defining moments. Nas. The beef started in April 2007, right after the horrific Virginia Tech campus shooting. The school had organized a memorial event, and Nas was one of the artists scheduled to perform. For the students, it was a healing moment. For O'Reilly, it was an opportunity. On his show, O'Reilly went on the offensive. He pulled out Nas's lyrics, out of context, of course, reading lines from songs like Shoot 'Em Up as if they were his entire catalog. He painted Nas as a violent, misogynistic rapper and argued that someone like him had no business performing at a memorial service for victims of gun violence. He called Nas vile, tried to whip up outrage, and even pressured the school to cancel his appearance, but the school didn't budge. Nas performed alongside other artists, standing firm despite O'Reilly's crusade. That could have been the end of it, but Nas wasn't going to let things slide. By 2008, he escalated the feud and turned it into something much bigger than just him. He teamed up with activist groups and marched directly to the belly of the beast, Fox News headquarters in New York City. With a petition signed by over 600,000 people, Nas stood outside the building leading chants of "Fox Lies." The petition called out the network's racially charged coverage, especially its treatment of then-presidential candidate Barack Obama.
Over 600,000 people of every color across the country are demanding that Fox stop their racist attacks on the Obama family and on Black Americans.
It was a direct, visible strike at Fox and, by extension, O'Reilly. And true to form, O'Reilly didn't engage with the actual criticism. Instead, he went back to character assassination. On his show, he dismissed Nas as a low-class rapper, accused him of selling the N-word to children, and mocked his recent untitled album, calling it a bomb, a disaster, a catastrophe. He refused to acknowledge the message and just kept attacking the messenger. But Nas had the last word in the most Nas way possible, through music. In 2008, he dropped Sly Fox, a scathing track aimed directly at Fox News and its hosts. On it, he didn't mince words. He called Fox a visual cancer and digital Satan, and spit lines like, "The only black man that Fox loves is in jail or dead." It was a direct indictment of O'Reilly's fear-mongering and race-baiting, and it hit harder than any TV rant could. When later asked about O'Reilly, Nas summed up the feud perfectly. Everybody has a marketing tool. O'Reilly's tool is making African Americans his target. He doesn't understand the younger generation. He deals with the past.
Nah, they scared of me. But Bill O'Reilly started with me last year, calling us out of our names. He stopped Ludacris from a Pepsi deal. He's always coming down on hip-hop artists. He's out of his mind.
But what made Nas's feud different was that he used both activism and artistry to clap back. To this day, his clash with O'Reilly stands as one of the sharpest examples of a rapper turning criticism into both protest and art, proving that you could fight the system with a mic in one hand and a petition in the other. East Coast Avengers. In 2008, East Coast Avengers took it to another level with Bill O'Reilly, with a track that pulled zero punches, "Kill Bill O'Reilly." From the very title, you knew what kind of record it was going to be. The beat was hard, grimy, and the lyrics were absolutely vicious. They called O'Reilly every name in the book: lying coward, S-word, racist, borderline R-word, talking head celebrity. But the real shocker was the hook, which flat out repeated, "We gotta kill him."
One of their new pick-to-click songs is entitled "Kill Bill O'Reilly." Sampling it, as the kiddos say, you will find lyrics that call him a chicken hawk, a lying coward, a racist.
It didn't stop there. One of the most disturbing lines escalated the threat into nightmare territory. "F making fun of you in punchlines, I'd rather kill your family in front of you by lunchtime." They even compared O'Reilly to Mussolini, suggesting he should be hanged the same way the fascist dictator was.
But the song also calls for him, quote, to be hanged like Benito Mussolini and otherwise killed.
The backlash was immediate. Right-wing media lost its collective mind. Conservative pundits and bloggers were outraged, calling the song a dangerous new low. Michelle Malkin, who also got name-dropped in the track with her own death threat, sneered back with a racist caricature, mocking the group with comments like, "Don't they have anything better to do? Rides to pimp, to diss, bling to steal." Sites like Newsbusters blasted the song as a new low and vitriolic musical expression. The East Coast Avengers, for their part, defended themselves. They argued that the song wasn't meant to be taken literally. It was deliberately extreme, a piece of satire meant to highlight free speech and, ironically, O'Reilly's own brand of hateful rhetoric. They even spiced it up by sampling O'Reilly's own voice throughout the record, including snippets of his infamous on-air meltdowns. In their view, they were turning his own energy back on him. The song gained international attention. The Guardian ran a piece highlighting how O'Reilly had been waging war with rap for years, framing this track as the most explosive example yet. And while O'Reilly himself never directly addressed the East Coast Avengers, that silence spoke volumes. Maybe it was strategy. After all, mentioning an underground rap group on Fox News would have only given them more publicity. Or maybe it was the fact that this time, the rhetoric had crossed into such dark territory that even O'Reilly understood it was better to stay quiet. Either way, Kill Bill O'Reilly stood out as the most extreme musical check in his long battle with hip-hop. It wasn't clever wordplay or coded critique, it was violent fantasy in the rawest form. And if anything, it showed just how much O'Reilly's relentless demonization of rap had pushed certain corners of the hip-hop community to their breaking point. Young Jeezy. In 2009, America was in a different mood. Barack Obama had just been sworn in as the first black president of the United States, and the moment felt historic. Rappers were celebrating the cultural shift, and one of the most anthemic tracks of that moment was Young Jeezy's My President, a triumphant ode to the possibility of change. At an inauguration event in Washington, D.C., Jeezy performed the song live with Jay-Z by his side. The crowd was electric, the energy unmatched, but Jeezy added some ad-libs to the performance that turned it from a simple celebration into something much more political. He shouted out, "Bush, you're a crazy," and with Jay-Z chiming in, they made a cheeky reference to "No More White Lies." For the audience, it was raw, authentic, and celebratory, but for Bill O'Reilly, it was fuel for another rant.
And I want to thank the mother who helped them move that about the White House. Get it moving, kick box. My president is mother.
On the O'Reilly Factor, he and his guest Dennis Miller tore into the performance. They painted Jeezy and Jay-Z as classless, offensive, and lowbrow, calling the moment a rant that offended people. O'Reilly argued that Obama himself would disapprove of it, framing the performance as undermining the civility the new president was supposedly trying to bring to American politics.
I guess I didn't get the memo about bringing the country together. I don't think Barack Obama would approve of that. I think it was low class.
Jeezy, though, wasn't having it. He clapped back almost immediately in interviews. Speaking with MTV News, he called out O'Reilly for twisting the entire thing. He explained that his comments weren't about hating white people or spreading division, they were about his personal perspective as a taxpayer and as a man who had lived through real struggle. It was his right to voice his feelings, especially in a moment that symbolized change and hope for people like him. And then Jeezy took it one step further. He brought the rebuttal to the booth. For the remix of My President, he dropped an extra verse aimed straight at O'Reilly. And in that verse, he flat out called him a racist a-hole in a nice tie. He also dismissed Dennis Miller, throwing shade at his relevance in a show. By flipping O'Reilly's criticism into new bars, Jeezy did what hip-hop does best. He turned hate into fuel, using the attack to amplify his voice and his message even louder. Lupe Fiasco. In 2011, Lupe made headlines when he dropped one of his most controversial takes yet. In an interview, Lupe argued that U.S. foreign policy itself breeds terrorism. He even went as far as to call President Barack Obama the biggest terrorist, pointing directly at drone strikes, overseas wars, and America's heavy-handed military presence in the Middle East.
My fight against terrorism, to me, the biggest terrorist is Obama and the United States of America.
It was the kind of statement Taylor made to ignite backlash, and it didn't take long before the conservative media picked it up. And of course, Bill O'Reilly smelled blood. Here was the perfect setup for him. A rapper, his favorite punching bag, saying something explosive about a Democratic president. O'Reilly saw an opportunity to flip the script. Instead of attacking Obama like usual, he could use this moment to play the role of Obama's defender while still dunking on hip-hop. O'Reilly invited Lupe onto the O'Reilly Factor almost immediately. At first, Lupe declined, which only gave O'Reilly more ammo. On air, O'Reilly mocked him as a coward and a pinhead for ducking the debate. But Lupe wasn't running from anything. He eventually agreed to show up, setting the stage for a televised face-off that a lot of people didn't see coming. On the jump, Lupe stood on business. He made it clear that his comments weren't a personal attack on Obama as a man, they were a critique of U.S. policy as a whole. His point was simple. Every president, not just Obama, becomes complicit when they sign off on drone strikes, bombings, and wars that destabilize entire regions. In Lupe's eyes, American militarism itself was the problem, no matter who was in the Oval Office.
The United States of America and its foreign policy. That was what the whole, context of everything was. And it was really just an expression of me trying to, understand critically, the society.
O'Reilly, though, wasn't about to let him off that easy. He slipped into his usual patronizing tone, talking down to Lupe like a teacher scolding a student. At one point, he flat out told Lupe his view was fallacious and even tossed in a snarky jab, suggesting that Lupe's fan base didn't have PhDs in political science. But Lupe never lost his cool. He didn't let O'Reilly bait him. Instead, he calmly repeated his argument, clarified his position, and refused to fold.
Well, and this is what gets me. That your constituency are not exactly political science PhDs, okay? They're impressionable kids.
I don't think that matters. To understand politics, I don't think you necessarily need that. And I don't think that politics are as complex as people like to make them seem or out to be.
If anything, O'Reilly's attempts to school him only made the rapper look more poised. After a few minutes, O'Reilly cut it off and moved on, probably realizing he wasn't going to get the fiery meltdown he was hoping for. Later, Lupe admitted he wasn't shocked by the way things played out. He said O'Reilly's patronizing attitude was basically his whole shtick, nothing new. Still, the fact that Lupe walked onto the factor, stood 10 toes down on a wildly controversial statement, and never once apologized or softened his stance earned him a lot of respect. Even people who didn't agree with him politically had to admit he didn't let O'Reilly bully him. In the end, O'Reilly didn't get the win he wanted. His little gotcha moment fizzled out, and instead of exposing Lupe, he just came off as dismissive and arrogant.